Hello, I'm back, and this is episode 13.0. So, this whole series of episodes, the 13 point series, is going to be very, very important and long winded series because there are so many important things that happen in my life um, during at this age. So I'll try to break it down and cover it. So last time where I left off is in my 12 series. I entered eighth grade, and my personality just underwent a sea change, really, really big change. I became very courageous, very bold, started pushing myself and doing things out of my comfort zone, doing a lot of things outside of my comfort zone. Joining NCC was one, learning, painting was one, and yeah. So, and I also joined, basketball and volleyball, and I was not even that great at sports, but I just tried everything, and I wanted to try everything. So during this time, I think in my series, the 5 series, I talked about, in fact, 4 series, I talked about how much, how I got introduced to Enid Blyton novels and how I used to read them so much, how my brother introduced them to me, and the neighboring kids actually. So, so by this time, I had read all of, you know, uh, I had read all of Secret Seven series, Famous Five series, and then the mystery series, and which was Five Find Outer series. I just devoured everything. So any series that was there in terms of adventure, Secret Seven, Famous Five, mystery, and then there's another mystery series which is called actually Barney series. I read that, and then there was also a secret series. It's not Secret Seven. It's Secret Island and Secret Cave, and things like that. So that series, and also there was an adventure series, which is different than Famous Five or Secret Seven. There was the Island of Adventure, and Valley of Adventure, and River of Adventure, and Sea of Adventure. I read all of those. So by this time, I think I had a collection of a good, like, and I used to buy all these books whenever I used to get a good rank. It was a tradition. My mother, bless her soul, like, she was did a very, very good thing that actually I carried it forward to my kids also, because that is something that was I just loved, and just my mom and I would go. She would take me to Abbott's, to A. Hussein bookstore, which was a very good, famous and only bookstore, more or less, that sold fiction, not school textbooks and all that. I think they used to have school textbooks too. I don't know. So she used to take me there, and upstairs, all these novels used to be there. So whenever I secured a good rank, I would like eagerly wait. She would take me, and I would pick one novel or two novels sometimes, sometimes even three, four, or five actually, but definitely at least one. And this was like such a good idea of hers. Like I said, I carried it over to my kids also. I At least to my older child, I used to do this a lot, the exactly same thing. So over a period of time, I had gathered around 200 Enid Blyton books, and I'd read all of these adventure series from end to end. In the back page, it would be all the titles would be written, and I would say, "Oh, what should I buy? What should I buy?" Sometimes somewhere not easily available. So then I started going to Koti, where the second-hand books used to be, and I used to look for the non-available things there. I also found some books. My Bama, my grandmother, she found all these books that my brother had, so I started reading all of them. So I had a nice collection, and there was a wardrobe in in uh, in my house. So there was a series of like cupboards, but there was one cupboard which was right next to a door, so it was little recessed. So it was too short because it was recessed. It was only like 1 foot wide, and all the other cupboards were like 2.5, 2 feet wide. So not wide, deep. So because it was only 1 foot or 1.5 foot wide, it was not, you couldn't put clothes inside that. So my mother actually gave me two shelves in that. And all those shelves, I had all these books laid out so neatly, and it was like, I used to be proud just looking at them. I used to be so proud looking at them, and I would like be very, very passionate about ordering them properly and all that. So during this time, I didn't realize that my Radhataya, my aunt, who they used to live upstairs in the second story, she was also an Enid Blyton fan. Actually, not just Enid Blyton, she was fan of all kinds of books. She would read other books too, like Agatha Christie, Jeffrey Archer, Ayn Rand. She used to read a lot of. She was very, very well read, and she used to love reading. But she liked Enid Blyton's also, even though they were kids' novels. She used to like all kinds of books. Um, so she actually once came down and said, "Oh, let me see what like books you have and all that." And I showed it to her. I was very excited because I was absolutely passionate about Enid Blyton books. Absolutely passionate. They used to just transport me into a different world, and it was something I could very, identify with. I wanted something like that. I wanted to be part of that world. So when I found that my aunt was also interested, it was very exciting for me to share that collection. See, if you have a collection of anything, whether it's books or whether it's jewelry or whether it's stamps or whether it's whatever furniture, whatever it is, cars, whatever it is, you're very passionate about it. Obviously, that's why you made a collection. But not everybody shares the same passion. So it's so exciting when somebody shares the same passion, because then you can actually like make use of that collection. If for some person there's like jewelry has no meaning, or furniture has no meaning, or cars have no meaning, it's like you can't share that passion, like it's so just yours. So I was so excited that she wanted to know, like, what famous five I have. And then she said, "Oh, I did not read that," because she was also very familiar with all the titles. So she started borrowing these famous five novels, and she would give it back. And next day she would borrow another one and she would give it back. What amazed me that within one day she would finish it. Usually novels, people used to take days and days back in the day. They would not read it at one stretch. But I was very inspired that, oh, she's actually finishing in one day. So I also got into that really good habit of, like, finishing novels at a stretch. I got like so involved in it that even while, like, I think I told you in sixth grade itself, like I used to, like, not eat. I used to eat and while reading a novel. I would always have a novel in front of me. But now I also started finishing it at one stretch. So we started discussing all these novels after she read it. So it was like, see, back in the day, we didn't have book clubs. Now we have this very well known concept in India also of having book clubs and all that. So, but back in the day, we didn't have like book clubs everywhere, easily accessible. So I can say that we were a book club. We just didn't know that we were a book club, because she would read something and we would spend hours discussing the plot, discussing the character, and also making up, like, twists and turns, making up stories. So, oh, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if this character in this novel meets that character in that novel? And what part did you like the most? Oh, you didn't like this character, you didn't like that character, kind of thing. So many hours we used to spend discussing that. So she introduced me to, she said, "Oh, have you, my favorite is the school series." So I had never, the only school series, I didn't know what school series were. The only school series I had read until then was something called Naughtiest Girl, and those only had four or five in the total series. So Naughtiest Girl in the school, Naughtiest Girl, like, is a monitor, and Naughtiest Girl again, and Naughtiest Girl is a monitor. And that's it, only three or four at the most. It was a school called Whitleaf, I remember, and they used to have like a student senate and student council and student leaders and monitors, and so it inspired in me a really really big passion to be a student leader, because and gave me so many ideas of how you could organize, if you're a student leader, how you could organize sports, and how you could inspire your team, and how sometimes you're losing but you could still take them to a win. And it was an amazing world, and these are amazing books. I know Enid Blyton has a lot of criticism for being xenophobic, and yeah, in some novels she's xenophobic, but it's almost to a funny point. There was one character in a Five Findouters where a Sikh person, so his name is Mr. Ho Ho Ha from Bong Castle, India. It's actually not a Sikh person, it's actually Fatty, who's dressed up as a Sikh person. Uh, but it was just funny, like it's like, and and there was a novel called The Mystery of the Red Ruby, which paints Indians in a very bad light. But that's, I know she has a lot of criticism for that, but overall that didn't matter to me so much, as these stories really inspired how to deal with people, what is the right character you should have, what does honesty mean, what does hard work mean, what does loyalty mean, what does being a true leader mean, what is and also it so I had only read that school series. Then she said, no, there's a school series called Saint Clair's. So I thought, oh, okay, next time when I purchase books from A. Hussein, I will pick up St. Clair's. So I picked up St. Clair's. It was up until then, I was more into the adventure fiction, and I just, like I said, devoured them, like mysteries and adventures, and somebody going off something to Kilimanjaro, and or somebody, like in an island somewhere solving a crime or living on their own. So these kind of things really, like, inspired me, and I finished all of them. So when I picked up the school series, it was just a picture of two characters. Whereas all the mystery books and the adventure books, they'd have like a mountain, and like a helicopter, and like somebody, like burning house, and or a robber or a pantomime cat or something like that. Whereas the Saint Clair's looked very dry to me. They were just like picture of two girls, okay, twins, Pat and Isabel. I think their names were, if I remember correctly. I don't remember the characters very well. So I thought, I don't know. I think this will be dry. And after I read it, uh, and honestly, I read it just so that I could discuss it with my aunt, but I didn't think I'd be interested. But she really talked a lot about it. So just so that I could discuss, I read it. I was not personally interested. But after I read that first book, I couldn't put it down. So I think, in a way, even though these were all Enid Blytons, for me it was a transition from being interested in adventure and mystery to human beings, characters, how people think, how people feel, how they interact with each other. So it was a different world. It was little bit, even though they were all kid books, they were more like teen fiction. So it dealt with very real problems that teenagers face. And very honestly, I have never seen any fiction like that even till now. I do see it on TV a lot. Something like Wonder Years, or it is still is my favorite television series. Something like that. You see that, but in novels, maybe Diary of a Wimpy Kid somewhat, but you truly don't see fiction that caters to teens' lives, the problems that they deal with. Somehow, not just problems, the triumphs that they have, what gives them a kick, what kind of issues they face, and how they tackle that, what they want to be, their dreams, their aspirations, and all the different characters. Because actually, in these books, you see that the characters are already formed. There are people who are jealous, and there are people who are competitive, and there are people who are angry, and there are people who are very loyal but they're angry, and there are people who have a lot of integrity but they're outspoken, and there are people who are very athletic but stubborn. You see all different characters that you actually see in real life around you. So it is like almost like a character guide, and it's very interesting. So I read all of those St. Clair's series, and at that point, once I got into the school series, of course, my Radhataya and I used to discuss a lot about books and in blood, and even till then. But I think we really connected at a different level, because uh, every day I came home, I couldn't wait to finish a book and run upstairs, and then we would discuss these characters at length, analyze these characters at length. Oh, remember this happened, remember that happened. Why is this character like that? I felt for her. This is my favorite character. This is what I like. I like her spunk. I like her wit. Or, oh, and we would, even in real life, we would say, oh, this person is like Alicia, or this person is this thing. So um, it was, we'd speak for hours together, and we'd also come up with what if scenarios analysis. So, like I said, it was a book club, and it was a very intellectually enriching experience for me. Um, and and I could speak for hours and hours, and rather I would participate and just connect in that. So then Radhatya said, actually, there's another school series which I like more than this one. And that was called Mallory Towers. And then she had Mallory Towers books. So she said, okay, you have St. Clair, so you can continue to collect that. I will collect Mallory Towers, and we can exchange. And then we can discuss that. What an amazing thing. It was also like money saving. So I collected all of St. Clair's series, and she collected all of the Mallory Tower series. And then I would finish my St. Clair's, and I would exchange with her. And then she would read the Mallory Towers, and she would exchange that with me. But again, when I saw Mallory Towers, I thought, no, I can't like anything as much I like St. Clair's. But Mallory Towers was something else. It is even more nicer. Even more nicer is like more nice. It's nicer than St. Clair's. So we used to discuss all these characters, and in Mallory Towers, I think there's the main character is Daryl Rivers. I think she eventually becomes the head girl. So you see the transition. You see the transition of how they enter in first form, second form, third form, fourth form, fifth form, sixth form, right from 12 all the way till 18. So me being 13, I kind of had like a roadmap of how a character evolves, and how they truly how they end up building a character. But that's not just that, how they actually become a beacon, become a leader, how they empower others. So this was like amazing. So it gave me a great inspiration of wanting to be a leader, wanting to empower others, wanting to organize others. Um, and also, Enid Blyton, and through all these characters, she tells you what kind of a head girl not to be. Um, but she touches upon so many things, because these are the things that around teenage, I mean, there's a lot of stress everywhere that, oh, teenagers deal with changing body and changing that's there. But actually what people don't get it is, right from 13 onwards, teenagers actually encounter problems very similar to adults. uh, they suddenly are thrown in a rat race. People are competing them with sports. People are competing them with them in academics, and that's when you start forming your vision, your dreams of what you want to be in life. And again, I think adults simplify it. Oh, do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be an engineer? But it's really not like that. It's more like they dream of a life of, like, oh, I want to be academically talented, or I want to, like, really, like, show leadership somewhere, or I'm a very artistic person. I would like to, like, be inspired by art, something like that. So they start forming their own dreams, and they're also very scared because around them they see themselves entering into the adult life. It is not like only during when you're an adult you're in the rat race. You are very much in a rat race from a teenage onwards. Everything is competitive, and there are people, yeah, you'll encounter people who get jealous of you, who will backbite about you, who will backstab you. All these adult issues you already start seeing around teenage. But the main difference is you don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how to. You're all the time reacting. So you're not spending so much time building character, because you're so, even though you want to, because you're always reacting to people, things happening around you. And you're also helpless. You're not independent. You're not financially independent. So a lot happens around you that affects you emotionally and mentally. And somehow these school series show those things. And uh, and you see yourself in these characters, and you build kind of a roadmap on how you kind of see how life pans out as you go through. Because she starts in all these school series, she starts in, first form, and goes all the way up to sixth form. So this whole episode that I am speaking, if you're not an Enid Blyton fan, it's like completely dry, okay? But you can see how passionate I am. And Radhatya was very passionate. So we used to discuss a lot about this. So around this time, I think what I actually also found in Radhatya was a person who could encourage, or with whom I could share my dreams. Okay. So, because I never had any person in life where I could share the dreams. I would always think, um, because I was so introverted, I got the vibe always about people close to me, that they always felt that I was average or couldn't achieve much. So I felt very uncomfortable in sharing my dreams. I didn't feel very confident. I felt people will laugh at me, or people will discourage me. But Radhatya is the first person with whom I could actually start sharing my dreams. And I got the confidence in a very weird way through all these Enid Blyton characters. Because in a lot of these characters, I saw people who had similar uh, dreams as me, who had similar issues as me. Some very introverted kid, or somebody maybe whose mother and father were very busy, and who didn't have, like, constant care at home. Uh, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, the kind of care that a housewife mother would give, or a house husband father would give. Like, I didn't have that. My parents were very successful, very busy, and their lives were very stressful. So what kind of issues those children have, like, how they feel when other kids, like, bring different lunches to school, and they kind of have to fend for themselves, and how it feels like that, how they manage that, and what kind of dreams these kids have, and how do they achieve them. So always Enid Blyton always, I mean, she talks about the underdog. Not all her characters are underdogs. Some are very confident from the very beginning, but many are underdogs. But basically, how their character builds and how they achieve their dreams, how they navigate different situations. So when I used to connect with these characters, with Radhatya, I used to also be able to share my dreams. So, my biggest dream was, again, people simplified this saying, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer. It was not like that. I wanted to achieve academically, I wanted to be at the pinnacle of academic achievement. And the reason I wanted to be that is I was like that for a very, very long time in both my schools until I had some setbacks in life, like getting very, very sick during my fourth grade. That was a very big setback. And also some other, like, setbacks that I had in life. But I was still a very high achiever. And for me, I just wanted to achieve, I wanted to be academically a big achiever. And for me, I felt comfortable sharing that dream with that dream, and I also wanted to, travel a lot. By travel, not travel. I didn't have the concept of travel, but I was a big foodie, and I developed my interest in food, and I could talk to Radhataya hours about food. So I actually used to collect all these Femina clippings, and Radhatya used to actually order the Femina magazine, and I used to collect it, and we made a big binder together. So, and then we used to try different recipes. So, um, any passion that I had, I could share with her. And maybe she had other passions of her own, but I just felt that she had the same passions. So many times we would spend hours in the kitchen where I would have all these clippings, and my mother also had a lot of clippings. So we compile it all together, and we would say, "Oh, today we'll try shikampuri kebab." And she would also be trying, I'd also be trying. We'd both like sit in the kitchen and make that. Oh, today we'll try egg curry. Oh, today we'll try American chop suey, like that. So much so that my biggest honor was once she invited her family over for dinner, like her brothers, her sisters, and all that. And she said, Anu, I want to make Chinese food. Like, will you come and like teach me? Or I mean, imagine, like, and help me. So I came, and we did it all together. We measured everything together. And when they came for dinner, they were just amazed. And she gave me like full credit, even though we did it together. She was like, oh, Anu actually helped me. And they were like amazed. They're like, this kid did all this, and it was good. So it was a love for food and cooking that we learned together. We grew together. It was a love for analyzing characters. It was a sharing of dreams, um, and also it was just like something that we even had. We would talk hours and hours about picnics in Enid Blyton's, and it was a love for picnics, and I couldn't believe that I could talk hours and hours and not bore the opposite person about all the things that happen in Enid Blyton picnics, lemonade and ginger beer and ham sandwiches. And I would say, oh, Ataya, I want to have a picnic like that. So I still like, so these were my dreams, to have picnics on the countryside, go bike riding on the countryside, and to discover all these little quaint villages, quaint secrets, and to also be a leader. This all came from there, and this is what I could share with her. So it was a it was a time for me of tremendous growth, and where through Radhataya, I think like I could actually begin dreaming. Because if not for her support, I don't think I would have dreamt all these dreams of being a leader, like me being so introvert until then. Of course, I was not introvert from eighth grade onwards, but still, or of being a high achiever in academics, I would not have. Or even spending hours and hours about, oh, let's learn cooking together, let's learn this together. So that was a very nice time. So basically, more or less, this chapter was about Edith Blyton, I guess. So, um, if I can say there's a lesson to take away from this, here's what I would say. Uh, Whether it is a human being, a person, or whether it is a novelist, or whether it's even a self-help guru for that matter, it doesn't matter whether you believe he's God or not, or whether it's literature, or whether it's even a movie. Um, if something inspires you to dream, that is totally worth having that. So always go and fill yourself up with people or books or novels or human beings who encourage you to dream, because all achievements start with a dream. They don't, then it becomes an achievement, or it may not, but they all start with a dream. So it's very important to have dreams. Um so that's what I learned. So fill your life with people and books and literature and movies and whatever it is that inspires you to dream. Nature, sometimes nature inspires you to dream. What, or sometimes other human beings. So yeah, dreams are very important. So I will wrap this up. I'm almost out of time, and I'll come back next time with episode uh, 13.1. Yeah, or 8.1. Yeah, I think it's 13.1. Sorry. We started with 13.0, and I'll come back with 13.1.